Have you ever wondered why breaking unwanted habits is so challenging? Well, the answer lies in the power of habits themselves. Habits once formed can be incredibly strong. They become an integral part of our daily routines, shaping our actions and ultimately, our lives. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, you don't deliberate on whether to brush your teeth or not. You just do it. That's the power of a habit. Now imagine if that habit was something less benign, like reaching for a candy bar whenever you're stressed. Over time, this seemingly harmless habit could have serious health implications. But what fuels these habits? Enter dopamine, our brain's key player in habit formation. This neurotransmitter, often dubbed the feel-good hormone, rewards us with a sense of satisfaction every time we engage in a behavior it approves of, making it harder for us to break away. Understanding dopamine, the feel-good hormone, is the first step towards mastering your habits. Dopamine, often known as the feel-good hormone, is more than just a simple mood booster. This neurotransmitter, a type of chemical messenger, is a crucial player in our brain's complex machinery. But what exactly does it do, and why is it so important? First, let's delve into where dopamine comes from. It's produced in several areas of the brain, including the substantia nigra and the ventral tegmental area. Here, dopamine is synthesized from the amino acid tyrosine before being packed into vesicles ready for release into the brain. Now, onto what dopamine does. It's a jack of all trades, involved in a myriad of functions. It helps regulate movement, memory, and, most notably, the pleasure and reward system in our brain. When you eat your favorite food, score a goal, or listen to a great song, that rush of pleasure you feel, that's dopamine at work. Dopamine signals reward. When something good happens unexpectedly, dopamine is released, making us feel pleasure and reinforcing the action that led to the reward. This is the brain's way of encouraging us to repeat beneficial behaviors. It's a survival mechanism rooted deeply in our evolution. But dopamine doesn't just stop at pleasure, it also plays a vital role in motivation. Dopamine drives us to seek and anticipate rewards, pushing us to explore, learn, and strive for more. It's the fuel that propels us forward, the spark that ignites curiosity and ambition. In essence, dopamine is a key player in how we perceive and interact with the world. It shapes our experiences, guides our actions, and influences our decisions. It is the silent puppeteer pulling the strings of our desires and behaviors. But, like any good thing, balance is key. Dopamine, in the right amounts, helps us thrive. It keeps us motivated, focused, and happy. But when it's out of balance, things can go awry. So, dopamine drives us to seek pleasure and rewards. But what happens when we get too much of it? In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with dopamine triggers. It's like a never-ending roller coaster ride where our brains are the thrill seekers, constantly craving the next loop, the next high. But what happens when the ride never stops? Modern lifestyle factors such as social media, junk food, and sedentary behavior have created a dopamine overload in our brains. Every like, share, or comment on social media sends a surge of dopamine coursing through our brains, giving us a quick hit of pleasure. Similarly, junk food, with its high sugar and fat content, triggers an intense dopamine release, creating a reward response that our brains crave to repeat. And let's not forget about the sedentary lifestyle many of us lead. When we're idle, our brains often turn to these dopamine triggers for stimulation. But here's the catch. When we're constantly flooding our brains with dopamine, they start to adapt. They become resistant, just like our bodies become resistant to a drug when it's overused. This state, known as dopamine resistance, leads to a constant need for stimulation. We find ourselves mindlessly scrolling through social media, binge-eating junk food, or spending hours in front of the TV. These activities become unhealthy habits, deeply ingrained in our daily routines. But it's not only the formation of unhealthy habits that we should be worried about. Dopamine resistance can also make it harder for us to feel pleasure from the simple things in life. The joy of reading a good book, the satisfaction of completing a task, the warmth of a hug. These experiences may no longer provide the dopamine hit we've become accustomed to. So, we find ourselves in a vicious cycle, constantly seeking out more potent dopamine triggers to satisfy our ever-increasing cravings. But the harsh reality is, the more we feed this cycle, the more entangled we become in the web of dopamine resistance. The good news is, we can reset our dopamine levels and regain control of our habits. Stay tuned as we delve into the fascinating world of dopamine detox, showing you how to break free from this vicious cycle and reclaim the joy in your everyday life. Imagine a life where you're in control of your desires, not the other way around. Welcome to the concept of a dopamine detox, a method that promises just that. It's a practice that has gained significant attention in recent years, but what does it actually mean? In essence, a dopamine detox is about reducing exposure to dopamine triggers. This could be anything from social media and video games to junk food and alcohol, basically anything that gives you an instant hit of pleasure. But why would you want to do that? Well, it's all about resetting your brain's reward system. You see, when we constantly expose ourselves to these high dopamine activities, our brains become desensitized. They start to require more and more dopamine to feel the same level of satisfaction. This can lead to a cycle of constant seeking for bigger and better rewards, which, let's face it, can be pretty exhausting. By taking a break from these high dopamine triggers, we can help our brains to reset. We can become more sensitive to small, healthy pleasures like a conversation with a friend, a walk in the park, or a good book. It's like turning down the volume on a loudspeaker that's been blaring for too long. Suddenly, you can hear the quieter sounds that have been there all along. You see, dopamine isn't bad in itself. It's a natural part of our biology, playing a crucial role in motivation and pleasure. The problem arises when we overload our system with too much dopamine too often. This can desensitize us to the smaller, more sustainable sources of happiness in our lives. A dopamine detox, then, is about rebalancing. It's about giving your brain a chance to recalibrate, to become more attuned to the subtle joys of life. And who knows, you might even find that you start to appreciate things you'd previously overlooked. Sounds promising, right? But how do you actually do a dopamine detox? You'll find out in the next scene. Embarking on a dopamine detox doesn't mean giving up all pleasures in life. It's about recalibrating your brain to appreciate the simple joys and to break free from the chains of addictive behaviors. Let's walk through some practical steps to help you start your dopamine detox journey. Firstly, reduce your screen time. We live in a digital age where screens are everywhere, feeding us with instant gratification. It's time to break the cycle. Set specific hours for using electronic devices and stick to them. Try to dedicate at least one day a week to a digital detox. Secondly, practice mindfulness. This isn't just a trendy word. It's a tool that can help you control your impulses and stay present. Mindfulness is about observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. You can start by dedicating 5 to 10 minutes a day to mindfulness meditation. Over time, you'll notice that you're better able to resist the urge to grab your phone or snack mindlessly. Thirdly, incorporate healthy habits into your daily routine. Physical exercise is a great way to naturally boost dopamine levels. Whether it's a brisk walk, a yoga session, or a high-intensity workout, find an activity that you enjoy and make it a part of your day. In addition to exercise, focus on eating nutritious foods. A diet rich in fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains can help regulate your dopamine levels. Lastly, don't forget about the importance of quality sleep. Our brains need time to rest and rejuvenate. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. If you're having trouble falling asleep, consider adopting a bedtime routine or making your sleeping environment more comfortable. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate dopamine, but to balance it, making your everyday life more rewarding. It's about learning to find joy in the journey, not just the destination. So start your dopamine detox today and begin to experience the world in a whole new light. So, what happens when you successfully balance your dopamine levels? Well, it's like stepping into a whole new world. Imagine having laser-like focus, enabling you to accomplish your daily tasks with ease and efficiency. Gone are the days of your mind wandering aimlessly, lost in the labyrinth of digital distractions. Next, picture your mood. It's no longer a roller coaster ride of highs and lows. Instead, it's a steady, serene sail on calm waters. Your emotional state becomes more predictable, manageable, and overall, more positive. And then there's the control over habits and cravings. It's like having the steering wheel of your life firmly in your hands. You decide where you want to go, what turns to take. The cravings and habits that once dictated your life now sit quietly in the back seat, no longer commanding your actions. With a balanced dopamine system, you have the power to transform your life.